We'll post questions in the chat. Is that the plan?
Yeah, and I can take this first question. Bro, it's because over and over again.
Such a memorable sound.
Very much so. I think I remember like some people even saying like they've heard Dark Ages sounds in like some music before. I think it just triggers like their memories.
Yeah, I thought there was a sound or a song that used the assail sound in it, which is hilarious.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Did you say you found a song that used the assail sound?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
happened. I forget which one though.
I think I've heard that song.
Yeah, I think it was the Mylith Rap by Threshold.
Could be. We got some questions popping in. What is the best practices for leveling up early? Grouping? Where can people find groups?
Private cave, probably now. It used to be like the entrance to the East Woods when you were at a level where a lot of individuals would kind of hang out to group up, or mill entrance. But most people are going to be in private cave. So until you buy either world shouts or get them from an event, probably heading to private cave is going to be the best place. You'll probably run into people on your way there, or you'll find where people are mostly hanging out there to get help.
I do also want to add on this, you can also press E to pull up the world list, and any name that is in orange is within your level range. So feel free to whisper anyone that's name is in orange.
You can also select through the list with each class to specify. So if you know, group, but we're missing our warrior or we're missing our healer, you can select it to just that short list there.
Yes, that still brings up an excellent point. You must be level 11 or be registered to whisper or private.
Yeah, I think if you're unregistered below level 11, if you try and whisper, it says your will is too weak, which is very confusing.
Yeah, which is the out of mana message.
Yeah, it does not need mana to use a whisper, but you just have to level up to level 11.
I think often when you meet the level requirement, does it say that your will is too weak? Isn't that like a common response?
I'm not entirely sure.
Sometimes it says you fear this zone if you try and enter a higher level zone.
Nightmarish visions of your own death tell you.
Yeah. Classic.
Hollowmore has asked if this is in danger of shutting down. I honestly used to think so all the time, but it's still kicking somehow, so who knows?
Yeah. For all we know, it could die in 2 weeks. It could die tomorrow. It could die 10 years from now.
Yeah, I thought it was going to die last month, but I think with all these new players and this viral video, it's going to live quite a while. Especially given that Kru is actually paying attention to player requests and whatnot again.
I do want to touch on Kidion's question.
Thanks.
John started answering. Yeah, John started answering that, but he only touching Morrior, I believe. Morrior is insanely good. Some people will have gripes with it because things here and there, like very nitty things. They'll be like, "Oh, Wonk is better, Pure Monk is better, Pure Gladiator." Morrior is just as good as it was a long time ago. Wizard Priest, not so much. They're still insanely good in Arena, not to the degree that they were, and it's more about Priest Wizard nowadays. They kind of just break the game with no effort.
I think we can all agree, though, that Warrior/Wizard is probably the worst class, so just don't pick that one.
I'm pretty sure that one's the best one. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's Ailred's specialty class. How many Warrior/Wizards do you have now? Was it 20, 30?
Right now. No, I only got 4.
Only 4, okay.
Thank you, bro, for telling me to move the mic a bit closer and that I was breaking up. I tend to move my mic away a little bit so I don't bleed other people's audio into my feed.
Looking here.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No worries. The next question where it says, "Are priests necessary?"
I'm saying in most cases, yeah.
Yes. If you were
100%.
two druids hunting in the deepest parts of Tavali because you have ridiculous amounts of HP and P and max gear, like, you know.
Yeah, like
I've seen that. But that's
like
nowhere near
for
anywhere you're gonna see anytime soon.
yeah, there are niche cases like a Commodus druid has their own heal, so if you're going and hunting places where you don't need a crod, like in Tavali, like she mentioned, then yeah, you can absolutely heal yourself and go without a priest and just go with like a wizard to phase you. It's dangerous, but it's possible.
Mm.
Looking here for the next question. Scrolling down.
I see a question. What's the best class if you only have time for solo?
I would
You only
have to
time
say
for
rogue.
solo, probably Priz. Oh, rogue. I would say Priz, but it does take a lot of investment to get a Priz built.
Yeah, that's the main reason I don't want to say Priz. If you can tough it out and make the Prizzard will be the best investment as far as a class goes, bar none. But if you're just looking for something to be able to solo content, I think Rogue is probably the best at doing that pre-master. But you may want to subpath into a different class post-master unless you want to struggle it till you get to Archer.
Yeah, I'd frame it as kind of a short-term, long-term question. If you want to solo long-term, then investing into a priest that subs into a wizard kind of gives you the best soloing capabilities long-term in the game. But if you just want to be able to solo in the early stages, then being able to use a rogue that can set traps makes it pretty easy to solo. Especially once you get poison, you can poison super strong monsters and then wait a bit and come back and kill them in one hit.
Yeah, excellent. I think that's the best way to put it. Is that if you want the investment, you go with the Prizzard, and then if you're just trying to play and enjoy what you can, and you're not sure how long you're going to play, try to go with the Rogue.
Also, I would keep in mind with rogues, like if you're going to stay rogue, your combat style is really going to change once you go after Grandmaster. If you go down the Medenian path as Archer, you become more like a caster.
Yeah, you will have areas where bashing like a warrior is more effective, like in Tavali, but for the most part, archers are going to be more caster oriented than basher.
I see another good question here from Hidden is how do you make money in game?
So just starting out brand new, the best advice I can give you is centipede's glands and whatever other crypt drops you can find until you can take on goblins, and then sell the goblin skulls. That you can sell the crypt drops at Darren Mylith, he's the wizard, and then the goblin skulls at the Abel fighter. Once you get significantly higher in level, I don't know the exact number. Someone else on the team probably be more elaborate with that. But that should get you some decent funds to at least learn your initial skills, get your initial gear.
You can also
there's also a big
find light daggers if you're a rogue to the black market, and if you identify the gems that you can pick up on the ground in private cave as well as those daggers, they will also buy those. But that's a more rogue specific money making. Plus rogues, you can make a bunch of money polishing gems for all the wizards and priests out there. They're gonna need hundreds of uncut and finished gems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
gem polishing.
As for you, wizard and as for you, wizard and priests out there who need the money, better get to selling those skulls. That's really all I can say.
I just wanted to mention that gem polishing, you only need, I'm just checking it in 4loft.com right now, 5 constitution and 5 dex to learn it. So you can learn gem polishing super early as a rogue, start making a ton of money polishing gems for mostly priests and wizards. And then I'm not sure if we have a good central website page that shows where all the monster drops can be sold to. I don't know if forloft.com has a good page for that, or if Vemisel's site has that.
That's not information that's been aggregated, but that's some good information definitely for like a new player guide. If someone wanted to do a college entry and possibly earn an award, putting together like a little website right there that explains where you can like sell stuff, monster bits. That's like probably a really great entry right there.
DA items
and also
might exist.
Don't forget that the game has a big economy, and you can also make gold by selling and items and services to other players as well. There's like hubs, gems, which Dylan mentioned, all sorts of things.
I don't want to get too tangenty, but just to explain, because I know we're going to be throwing around a lot of jargon that some people might not be aware of, but hubs are short for Hubei. They're something that is required for the monk class specifically.
I just linked a site.
Do martial arts with the monks. You have to train with others and train other students, and that's how you progress your belts, as we call them, dugans. Dugong.
Not Dugong, the Pokemon.
I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that one.
Yep, that's a fun thing of Dark Ages, is everybody pronounces every word differently. And so on voice chat, it's always a fun challenge of trying to understand what people are saying.
Yeah, telling someone to wake you up from sleeping.
There's so many chats going on and questions. I can't keep up with them all. The next one would be someone asked if you can play the game without worshipping any deity, and yes, you can.
It's a poor choice though. Everybody should join Deoch in Suomi. It's a fire god. It's the coolest one. There's no debate. Okay, next question.
There's also 3 Medenian religions as well that you can get to later in the game.
Super cool,
fire.
secretive religions. A lot of things you'll learn as you're doing quests. Just to throw this in, sometimes you will have to speak like trigger words. So it can be kind of fun to use different phrases with different NPCs to see how they respond. So I welcome you to play with that.
I know one of the ones is like for upgrading your end game weapon, you need to say Feesgar weapon to a certain NPC, and Ailred over here, he likes to just smash on his keyboard and put Feesgar weapon somewhere in there.
You'll notice a lot of people will have text that has a single line. It'll say like repair all, or
that's a very useful.
Get items back from the bank. If we want to, those are great lines. The deposit item and pull item. If we want to put those in the chat for people. Got more of the soloing questions. We kind of touched on that.
There's a question of what can players do unregistered if they're on the free trial. It is possible to level up to level 99, but there are a bunch of restrictions. I just posted a link that shows the various things you cannot do until you register, such as politics, religion, events, using, world shouts and items before your level, stuff like that. So you can play a lot of the game, but a lot of the fun social aspects are kind of locked behind that $10 a month registration code.
Politics, religion, attending
mastering. Hell, even once you hit level 99, you can no longer gain any experience at all.
Yeah, and you forget how to write, so you can't even write mail to other characters.
Bro here has a question about explaining Monk Weast, the shorthand. I know we explained
Thank you.
Hubai or Dugon, but yeah, I'll let
Yeah, I was absolutely going to touch back on that because I'm slowly going through the chat and trying to catch up and touch on everything, even if it's already been answered, just for the sake of the VOD. But yeah, no, there's the so the way classes work in this game is that you can initially become one class, and then when you hit level 99, you have a choice of either staying with that class and being what's known as a pure class, or subpathing and starting all the way over at level 1 again as a different class, keeping all of your old skills and spells. So this would be something like a warrior who goes into a monk or a wonk. Typically, it's just names mashed together. Some classes don't really have a good name, but if you see something like Weast, it's probably you can take a guess that it's either wizard priest or warrior priest. If you see uh, Ronk, you can fairly easily assume that that probably means rogue monk.
Also, you can no longer wear or use the equipment from your previous class after you sub.
Yeah, that is something to be very aware of. That's something that they did change.
Mostly affects rogues, I feel, with their skills. You lose a lot of access to your story skills. There are some items that you can read about on Vorlov that will tell you what its weapon type is, so it can still be used for some skills. But that's something to be aware of if you sub out rogue into another class. There's going to be some skills that you won't be able to use anymore because you don't have the weapon types for them.
Yeah, which is super unfortunate. Hopefully we can request Kru to change that. Even certain profession things, like you keep the gem polishing spell, but you can't actually polish gems with it. It just complains that you're no longer a rogue, which I think is pretty silly.
Yeah, on that note, it's similar to religions. If you're a priest, you can't hold masses after you sub.
Okay, so there was a question asked by Flock regarding targeting and attacking. He says he's walking up and hitting space, but he seems to have to follow the mob, hitting space for about 30 seconds before he does damage. Is this normal, or am I doing something wrong? Unfortunately, this is very normal, and I see someone answered it as a lag question. I guarantee you that's not what's happening. I guarantee you almost with 100% cert that, and also your hit stat. If you hold shit or if you hold
Iglis,
shift,
oh no.
if you hold shift and press G, you can see stats like your offensive element, your defensive element, your damage for your skills, and your hit. Hit is essentially your accuracy for your skills and your assails. But it is also very possible that it could be a lag-related issue. This is a very old.
If you think you might be lagging, just hit F5. F5 is going to be a bread and butter for a lot of things. It will open doors literally on buildings. If you're lagging, if you don't think your character's in the right spot, hit F5 and it should refresh the screen and show you where you actually are standing.
Some people may refer to this as blinking in game. So if someone tells you to blink, they'll typically follow it with double parentheses out of character saying press F5. But if they don't, that's what they mean when they say to blink. And then Bro has another point. He wants us to explain what subbing and mastering is. I feel like I'm kind of talking a lot, so I'll let someone else.
What's the question?
Explaining subbing and mastering. I think I did go over subbing in pretty good detail, so if someone wants to take mastering.
Yeah, when you get to 99, you can either choose to sub or you can choose to master. And when you master, it's kind of like a step above level 99. You get access to new areas and new gear and new spells, and you can finally buy stats with your experience, with your health. and then you can max your stats, and you just get access to more content. It's just the next step in the game. But when you get to level 99, it'll have you complete some tasks in order to master. So you have to have certain skills and spells and certain bases in order to master. So make sure that when you're leveling up to 99, if you plan to master, you have everything that you'll need, and you can find that information on Warlock as well in the mastering page.
Yeah, and then I guess just to expand on that, we kind of touched on the Medenian classes a bit earlier, but it's a kind of progression of master. Once you master, there's 4 epic creant quests to defeat. Once you defeat them, you become a grandmaster, and then you can become your next Medenian class by traveling to the second continent of Medenia. I think we had talked about rogues becoming archers, warriors become gladiators, monks become druids, priests become bards, and wizards become summoners. So for the question of if I'm a wizard and I want to go priz, do I need to make a new character? That was already kind of answered by emojis. Yes. Basically, if you want a specific subclass, you have to start off as the first part of it. So priz is priest into wizard. You have to start off as priest, and then you end up as a wizard and eventually a summoner once you go Medenian.
Also, note with the druids, it may be interesting to know there are 3 different forms that you can take. There is.
Thank you. I was just about to mention the same thing.
Ahead, yeah.
No, you take it. You started.
So there's a Komodos, which is a lizard. One of the things that I feel like is iconic for them is like their tail slam, and they have a pretty good what did you call it? Like spike damage. Sorry,
Self heal.
PvP terms.
What term are you trying to?
It's like on the.
If you describe its function, I can.
Or you just take a lot of damage at a sudden. I can't think of the word. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Combo. Burst.
Thank you. I said spike, but I was like, what? Not spike. Yeah, burst damage. And then I believe for sustain, the wolf form is supposed to have like some of the highest DPS. And then there is the bird form, the Karua form, and they are more like a caster, not so much a melee like the monk. Like the wolf and the lizard.
It is important to know, though, about the Karura bashing power is that they have really quick regeneration on their skills. So while they don't do a lot of damage, they're really useful in one of the end game hunting areas, Tabali, because those don't need a lot of damage to kill. So they actually hunt really fast there with their skills. But yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the trade-off.
A strong combo.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off of going with the Karura druids, is that you get this really, really powerful AoE spell and really short cooldowns, and you're really mobile and hard to pin down, but your combo just doesn't deal as much as a Feral or a Komodos. In addition, I also want to point out that Komodos has a self-heal in Cold Blood that scales with your ability level. It's insanely good. I've used it to save myself in countless situations in the arena and heal myself after a failed combo or successful combo. And then the Feral Druids, they actually have the highest single target damaging skill in the game that is not a rogue in Mass Strike.
Okay.
I think filling the next question here, I'm seeing, is the economy in the game right now friendly for a new player? Can people afford them without any help? It depends on what you're buying.
That is tricky.
Yeah, like, if you're trying to get event gear, you're probably not going to be able to get that for a while starting out. But if you're just trying to get, like, Scurvy Gauntlets, Scurvy Greaves, a Captain's Shield, Cursed Chadul Shield, or
People will give that stuff.
an Andor Jekin. Yeah. They'll either give it to you, or like for some of the slightly harder stuff, they might charge a couple mil at most, which is nothing. You'll get millions of gold in this game in no time.
Speaking of gold, I guess once you get to master, that's really where you're going to be able to start farming gold just from hunting monsters. And that's going to be in locations like Nobis, which you get to through Orin. It's a hidden city back through the jungle. And then also Mount Girrigan, which you can get there by going through Suomi by the past the Sapphire Stream area.
Shinewood Forest also has some gold, but it's nowhere near as lucrative. And then Chaos and Chadul are more end game areas, but you can hunt them as a master. It's just very dangerous, and I would not recommend it.
That's why I didn't mention those locations. But to start, like Mount Girrigan and Nobis are good places where you can hunt with a group quite efficiently and get decent gold.
I did want to just mention Chaos and Shadul because I know some people are going to see them on Vorloff or DA Wiz and be like, "Ooh, I want to go there. That sounds fun."
It's very difficult. They sleep you and blind you, and it's very hectic and madness. So.
Speaking of hectic and madness, 144 new messages, 10:06. Jesus Christ!
I know.
Man.
So fast. It's okay. A lot of them are talking to each other. I'm scrolling through looking for questions. If you guys have the next question ready, throw it up.
Yeah, thanks everybody for answering questions in the chat. It's super helpful.
One question that I saw scrolling through was, what's your guys' favorite thing to do? Mine, personally, I like the PvP. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's my favorite thing to do.
For me, I still really enjoy doing certain kind of boss dungeons. There's one in the Lore's sewers canals, which I did hundreds of times when I played back in like 2005 to 2010, and I still really enjoy hunting Nobis. It was kind of my favorite hunting ground, and it drops the best belt in the game, the light belt.
No, it doesn't.
Nobis?
Oh, Nobis. Okay, I thought you were still talking about.
No, I mentioned two things there. Keep up, Iglis.
I had to unplug my headphones for a minute.
Fair.
As for me, my favorite thing about the game still the player run cities. There's not much to interact with before all of you guys showed up, but just the religions especially, and if I had to pinpoint one specific thing, it would be the class. Classes are my favorite thing about this. Just 100% favorite thing about this game.
Like the college classes?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
like the literature. Yeah. Bro did ask a while back, do you have to be regged for a gem polish? I know you have. I know you do to use them as an assistant.
Yeah, I have that pulled up here too. My favorite thing, I would say I can't decide, so that's an easy thing to move over. I have tried it all and I love it all. Hunting, questing, religion, the troop events, politics, PvP. I find every aspect of the game enjoyable, honestly.
Yeah, but before we tackle that gem polish question, I do want to mention, if you ever see a Suomi troop event, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to check it out. They are fantastic.
100%.
Now, does anyone happen to know if you can gem polish unregged? Because I don't know that offhand.
Pretty sure you can't. Anything that uses labor.
You can't, yeah.
Labor to do it, you have to be registered. So it's gem polishing, bladesmithing, Suomi smithing, tailoring, mentoring, running for politics, going to an arena match,
Praying.
A lot of things. Registration.
Yeah, wizardry research, herbalism, and if you use up labor, then you need to register basically. So otherwise people would just make a bunch of free trial characters to to labor for free.
Labor is kind of like a currency. In the town politics, you use your labor to vote to support. Like the politicians have to collect votes from other characters to be able to take office. They need enough support.
Yeah.
So if you see someone asking for your support, they're going to have you go to an inn or tavern to vote for them. And then also same with prayers. It can become polite, like if someone's praying for you for scrolls or doing something like that. Oftentimes, like laboring them a day back for their assistance.
The next question that I see that I think has already been answered, but I just want to expand on it. Is there fishing in game? Yes, there is. It's not quite an enjoyable experience, but it exists. If you just go buy a fishing rod and some fishing bait from, there's a fisherman NPC in Able, kind of near the docks in Able. You just equip the fishing pole, have the bait in your inventory, and then just play cookie clicker on all the fish you see in the water. You have to be within a certain distance. I don't know if it's like 5 or 6 tiles, but you just click like crazy, and eventually you catch the fish. There's like 6 or 7 different types of fish. The most rare is called a purple whopper, and if anybody catches one of those and wants to sell it, I will happily buy it for a lot of gold, because I have been trying to catch it for a long time. We had a fun fishing tournament where we just clicked for 2 hours and nobody caught a purple whopper. So if anybody catches
Ailred has one.
I think you also get a mushroom cap if you fish as a peasant.
Oh yeah, fun fact.
What is that one was already answered.
Summer song about are there overrepresented classes? I usually play wizard, mage, etc. character in any game. There's also usually tons and tons of them. You can check on the world list. It will show you the number of warriors, rogues, wizards, priests, and monks that are currently in the game. And yes, you will see wizards and priests. There's like 60 of them currently, so they are overrepresented classes in the game. It's probably because they're very efficient in hunting and typically needed in all zones. So
yeah, I guess the world list doesn't really give good visibility into subclasses that people have picked. There's definitely subclasses that are overrepresented and underrepresented. I'm tempted to say that warrior/wizard is one of the rarest, but also I guess wizard/warrior. There's 2 classes that don't really go together.
Rogue warrior is also pretty rare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll push back on the wizard warrior a little bit, because I found that wizard warrior actually has a very, very nice niche in being able to hunt with literally priests of any flavor at all in Tabily, because they can phase for themselves, so they don't need a wizard to do so.
Do you see many of them though? That might be a good class to pick for new players if they're a good class that's not really common.
Whoa! I never said they were good. I said they had a niche.
Fair.
Next question here for Syl. I see. Is there something that shows where to get different things? Example, I need centipede something for wizard. Actually, Volof.com. Where is it? There's like a general search tab that you can go to. Is it in general knowledge? Maps and
It's on the bottom.
The item database?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that tell you where?
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the list to the left on the home page.
So what you do is
then
type the item in there, and then when you click on the item itself, it will give you more details about it. Like where they picked that, what monster dropped it, and things like that, I believe.
Yeah. And then if you go to the general knowledge under Vorloff, up at the very top, there is DA-items. That has most items and their drop location.
Just continuing on, I linked for the item search. There's a link on vorloff.com that I replied, and then not quite a question, but just kind of a statement from Starry. I noticed there are tons of abbreviations in the game. It will be good if there is a glossary for them. Again, Vorloff is our main info site, and thankfully it has a page for all the terms and abbreviations. So I've just linked that as well in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really like our acronyms. I've been trying not to use them as much, but you'll notice sometimes, like, you'll say, "Oh, just head over to HM, and either give you a WD chest." And it's just stuff you have to pick up as you go.
Yeah, and then fun fact: there are
all linked together.
Some acronyms have different, expanded forms. You'll see GM used a lot. Sometimes it's in the context of Grandmaster. After you master your class, you can become a Grandmaster by defeating the Creants. But there are also the GM players, like Trial and Error. I believe that stands for Game Master, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's easy to mix up those acronyms with the same letters.
K-Joy here.
There was someone.
Oh, sorry.
There was someone who asked the registration difference question again. That's about where I'm at in the chat. But there was someone very close by him. Someone also asked if DA would be discontinued again. We answered that earlier. We don't think so, but who fucking knows? But this one I really want to touch on. I am a free player. How do I buy a registration? So, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to navigate to darkages.com, and over on the left, there's tabs for home, gameplay, screenshots, etc. You're going to click Account, and then click on the Coupon Shop. Once you're at the Coupon Shop, you'll select Dark Ages as your game, and then 1 month, $9.95 a month, and then proceed. Then you'll go through all of the prompts that it gives you, and it will, after you pay for the code, you will get an email with whatever email that you input, one for your receipt, and then one with the actual code. Take this code and then go over to the account manager on the same page where you bought or got to the coupon shop. Go to account manager instead, and then there's a button near the bottom that says create Dark Ages account. Click that and input your registration code, and it'll prompt you to create your Dark Ages account. Once you've created it, log in and add your character's name, which is the game ID, and password, and you will be registered in 5 to 10 minutes after that.
I do want to note, when you go to buy the coupon, it defaults to the $9.99 Kruna. So be sure you select the 1 month DA and not the Kruna, because they do cost.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For me, it defaulted to automatic renewal.
Oh, interesting. Well, that might be because of automatic renewal. It probably depends maybe on how you have it set up. But no, not on auto here. When I go in, it defaults to Kruna.
Yeah, I don't use automatic renewal. It just, when I went to Coupon Shop, that was the first thing it popped up.
Yeah, same for me.
It could be a browser difference, probably.
Yeah, so just be sure, I guess is what I'm saying, that you're buying the right coupon.
Yeah.
Yeah, one month for $9.95 a month USD. That's what you want to do to upgrade your free trial account.
Or Dark Ages.
Yeah, not for Nexus TK. Good catch for Dark Ages.
Yeah, and then also once you create the account, I can't remember if Iglis touched on it. You add your character by name. So
yeah. It'll ask you what the game ID and password is. Your game ID is your character's name.
Yeah.
Someone asked, is there a way to teleport to different areas in the game so you don't need to walk? Yes. There are songs which will teleport you to any of the major towns Pemuware. You can get these songs through wizardry research, or by praying to your god. You will get, if you entreat or supplicate for songs of the shrine, you will gain 3, 6, or 9, depending on faith, songs for whatever town your god's temple is in. There is an extra caveat to this. Worshippers of Gramail can actually supplicate and entreat for arcane scrolls to get random scrolls to any town.
You can also buy some in the black market as a rogue for Recession.
Yeah, I think it's what, like 5,000 gold per scroll, which sounds like a lot when you're starting, but once you get later game, that's super cheap. You can hold up to 30. And the great thing about Recession is there's kind of a side path where the scroll takes you that if you're not a Recession citizen, basically kicks you back to the Millith entrance. And even if you are a Recession citizen, if you keep going to the I think it's the Sagath area, enter that and exit, it also shortcuts you to Millith. So it's a great cheap option to kind of have a central teleportation to either Millith or Recession.
Yeah.
And then there are spells that you can get too, as a priest and a wizard that transports you to your home.
Yeah, they get a spell that just directly takes you to your home in.
Yeah, and then the Black Star gives one as well, right?
I was gonna say, yeah, it gives everyone a way home. I also just want to mention here, I see Hedon said, does this mean that when you get your gear stripped once you sub? No, it will not let you sub to another class unless your character is completely naked. So you just take everything off.
Birthday suit, you're reborn.
One more note on the teleportation. A prize for the insect event that's quarterly is ant tunnels, and you can use that to teleport, I think, every 3 hours or so. So that's a pretty good one. It gives you multiple locations.
4 hours. And then you can upgrade it to get a 2-hour cooldown.
I was in the middle.
Yeah.
Pick the average.
Right. The next question I see is Flock asking, I noticed yellow messages in game from a lot of people, but when I type, it's white. I'm only typing to the local area around me. Is there a command to talk to the world? So there is a command to make your voice spread larger throughout the map that you're currently on. It's not global throughout the entire map, but what you're seeing are world shouts. These are Kruna items that are occasionally given out through events and other methods, but typically the way to get them to pay Kruna for them.
The way to tell the difference between a shout and a world shout is a shout. Instead of, you know how when you go to whisper, you hit Shift X and the what is this like little thing that goes up there? You hit the Shift and the exclamation point, the 1, and you will see when you shout, it will start with an exclamation point, and then the text will be in yellow. But if it is a world shout, it'll be in a bracket.
Yeah.
And I put some free world shouts on the floor in the Black Star Bank if anyone wants to come grab them. You do have to be registered though. So.
Oh, nice. Run. Yeah, I guess I don't actually know the range of a regular shout. It's not the full map, but it's some amount of
I
squares.
definitely know it's not full.
But it's not the full map.
Yeah, interesting.
If you're coming from Mylith in Pravat Cave and you get to about halfway between the two doors, that about where from there you can get to the bank NPC with shouting.
Oh, is that the same as the range with your skill blue line text?
Yes, they are the same range.
Oh, interesting. Today I learned.
Also, an important note on world shouts, you do have to be at least level 50 in order to use them.
Yes.
You can hold them before level 50 if you're registered, but you have to be level 50 or higher to use them.
Zinnigan has a question here. Is there any hidden mechanics in the game that we should know about? For instance, when attacking monsters or other players from the side or back, do you get more hit chance?
You get more damage if you attack them from the side or the back.
Yeah, the sides are a slight increase compared to the front, whereas the back is closer to something like double damage.
Can you explain how the lore contest system works in regards to the community lore? I'm not a noble, so I'll leave that to the nobles in the chat.
I'm no longer a noble. I lost my noble character, so I don't feel qualified to speak anymore.
Oh no.
Ailred?
Hey, you just won an Aisling award. No,
It's not recognized yet. I need Kru to give me the mark.
Sorry, where was that question?
basically explain the college system.
Yeah. At 20.
I mean, once you can attend college classes, and every time you attend, you get a chance at an educated mark. And once you get 3 of those, you're eligible to now submit a piece of your own. So you can choose what category, like literature or lore or history. There's a few categories. But once you create a piece, you use your 3 educated points to submit it. It consumes those points when you enter the building to submit it. And then existing award winners will essentially review your piece and make a recommendation on what award your piece deserves. And then once you get awarded that, you can go to one of the NPCs in game to claim your title, and then you can host classes yourself, and you get access to a few other perks, like you can get some special armors and special titles as well. So it's pretty cool. There's people that know a lot more than I do. Morrior and Ryan will excellent resources for that. So
going back on the hidden mechanics and touching on the missile, following up regarding us attacking creatures, he says you can also control right-click on the monster. It will do a relentless attack. This will have you auto-follow the creature and auto-attack it over and over. I actually didn't know that you could do it that way, but you can also double right-click the monster to achieve the same effect.
Yeah, I've always double right.
I've always double right-clicked. I didn't know there was another way.
I do want to, that does remind me though, you can control left click on a character to see a little drop down menu that lets you pull up their info, their gear and everything like you would just clicking on them. Send them a group immediately from there, or just whisper them immediately from there.
That's actually a handy feature if you have the same problem I do when you're casting on priests. You end up just clicking so fast that you open up people's profiles and it totally messes with you. So if you go into your settings, you can turn off opening profile by clicking, and then you have to control click them to open their profile. So
yeah,
that's under your F4, by the way.
But also good for healing in a group, honestly, like as if you're casting buffs. And you don't want to accidentally open their character profile instead of, casting that IOC on them. I see here a question from Krednia. Can you name 1 or 2 things that each class does well in a group hunt?
I don't see
I'd say
that
wizards fast. For sure, they like to fast.
Oh, I see. Okay. There was a question before that I saw that I want to touch back on that I just wanted to point out. But yeah, let's touch on this since it was already mentioned.
Sorry, I might have skipped over a question if I saw that it was something we'd already answered.
You're fine. You're fine. So, wizards, aside from doing huge amounts of AoE damage from a distance, they also have the task of applying mana to whoever needs it, as well as keeping the party buffed and the enemies debuffed with the same spell, funnily enough. It's kind of weird how that works, but called Fasnadur. What Fasnadur does is that it amplifies whatever creatures affected by it, their elemental effect by various amounts depending on what strength the level of Fasnadur you cast is. So like if you're wearing a dark belt and you're resisting everything but light, you will take double or even more damage from light if you have Faz on you. but you will take less damage from everything. Anyone want to take a different class?
Yeah, I'll take priest.
Yeah.
Since I have like 8 of them or 9 of them. Besides just healing and buffing, which you're usually going to do like towards the beginning, some buffs you'll learn that their duration is too short and they're not going to be worth keeping up. Of course, once the hunchbacks have been casting, you will get that spell as a priest. But more importantly, you can also do crowd control. That could be something you can do while you're waiting if people are fully healed and monsters are coming in. You will get spells like prom and blind. So you can use those spells on monsters to help crowd control because damage not taken is damage healed.
And I also want to point out that they also get the most important debuff in the entire game, Crod spell.
Yeah, the curse. Yeah. Sorry, my throat, 1 sec. Yeah, curses is the other next big thing that you're going to do in a group. You're going to curse everything that you come across. There will be times when a wizard will not be using their elemental amplifying spell, Fosnader. And so your debuff, the curse, is the only debuff the monster is going to have instead of also having the elemental amplification. But there's only a few places that are like that. It's usually places that do light damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we covered, wizard and priest, right?
Yeah, I feel like we can cover warrior and monk at the same time, kind of.
I'll do rogue because I guess my icon is an archer, the class after rogue. So rogue is kind of an interesting utility class, I guess. At the start, they can lay traps that damage monsters when they walk over them, which is great for soloing, but can also be helpful in a group. They get some status traps as well that can be good for crowd control, like blind traps will stop a monster, most low-level monsters from walking once they hit that trap, which is great for big group hunting in dangerous zones. You don't want a bunch of monsters chasing after your priest or whatnot. Poison traps, which are great for damaging monsters over time. The poison lasts a super long time, so you can like poison an entire room, come back to it later, and all the monsters might be at super low health. They can hide, so they can kind of avoid detection from monsters and sneak around. And then another crucial thing for group hunts specifically is study creature. They can identify monsters attacking and, importantly, defense elements. So if you want to do maximum damage against a monster, you want to use the proper element against it. So rogues have that ability. And then I guess real quick, once they become master and then become their Medenian class, they become archers, which we touched on a little bit, and that really kind of changes up their class role. They kind of become almost like a caster damage dealer. They get a lot of powerful arrow attacks that do AoE damage. I guess their main one would be Star Arrow, which does light-based damage to a wide group of monsters, as well as super powerful single target skills. I guess Assassin Strike, when they're a master, does a ton of damage, and then Rear Strike, when they're an archer, can do a ton of damage to one or a few monsters in a line. Sorry, I guess the question was one or two things that each class does well.
Rogue has a lot of things.
Yeah,
Rogue can do a lot of things.
do a lot of different things. They're one of your
Yeah.
and bladesmithers. So like if you're gonna need something to be a fine or
Yep.
What's the other
Or
one?
yeah, good and fine. And yeah, gem polishing.
I do want to mention that archers can play very similar to bashers, like warriors and monks, not just casters. But as an archer, you're pretty much going to abandon the trap game plan altogether for the most part. You may use it still in like Nobis, Shinewood, and stuff, but for the most part, you're either going to be running up and hitting things or casting spells.
And then I guess I'll just do a mix of warrior and monk. Those are the two basher classes. Warrior typically, when you get to higher levels, you'll have stronger swords and axes and different weapons, clubs, and you get some pretty powerful weapons as you level up. You can wear shields or have two-handed weapons, and you have some powerful skills, and you have a lot of assails, so your spacebar does a decent amount of damage every time. Monks are also bashers, but they rely more on their skills and their kicks. A lot of monks have to put up their con for kicks, and because of that, they also are known to have more health. And they get access to a really great skill called Wolfang Fist, which is also a stun, but it doubles the damage done to the monster following the use of Wolfang Fist, which is pretty good. And then they stay pretty similar when they get into Druid, except obviously Kru that we touched on earlier.
There's kind of a whole like let's say non-deathmatch style PvP fighting that's called Wolfang Fist Dueling. So a lot of times people will go to the arena and then go to the inner arena and do that there, and it's not where you fight to kill, but the first person who is able to land the Wolfang Fist is the winner of the duel.
Yeah, think of it like if any of you are fighting game players, think of it like practicing foot with someone. You're going and you're just trying to see whoever can get the first opening on the opponent, and then once you get that opening, you reset to neutral. You do it again.
Did we forget peasant?
No,
Shut up.
Okay. Sorry, no offense.
Peasants are good at existing.
Yeah. I think Iglis, you said there was a question that we had missed. You wanted to go back and touch. Was that Sean's question about the importance of planning your stat?
Yes, it was. Stats, for the most part, can just kind of throw wherever towards your skills. The one class that needs to be absolute very, very picky about their stats is priest.
Yeah,
Um,
you can ruin a priest.
Wizards can miss out on a few spells here and there with subpathing if you don't plan your stats out properly, but they'll at least be, as long as you can get more Striok Pyangar, you can get all of the important stuff as a wizard. Every other class, it's just do whatever you want, get your skills, you should be fine. We 10,000 asked if there's a place that you can see all class combos, and Fever linked Vorloff's subpath page. At the very bottom of that, you can actually see every class combination with a short summary and a rating that Vorloff has given them for both PvP and PvE.
I want to touch on Pyrrhos' statement about monks earlier when I was talking about Druid forms. Monks also have their own forms, which is the White Bat, Kel'Varath, Scorpion, and Draco. Just to touch on them, White Bat gives you some roguey kind of abilities with hide and another skill. They each give you like their own unique like skills and spells. Kel'Varath is the one that usually people get because it's a big damaging spell, so it's good for your combo. Scorpion's probably poison trap.
Scorpion.
It's not even trapped.
It's Armocked. It's Armocked on yourself and another poison punch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Scorpion is in need of some quality of life improvements because it's not very useful.
Avoid Scorpion form.
And then also Draco.
I resent that.
Draco gives you a really fast immunity spell to damage, but it's very short. But it casts very fast. However, the attack spell, the Draco Tail Kick, It only does 10k damage. It's not too.
It's
But
good for lower level, to be honest.
Yeah, basically the way I would describe it is like Mitch said, or Ailred said, the Draco is very, very good for lower levels, and Kelberoth, you swap to that when you have higher HP.
Or White Bat if you like hiding and having
Oh,
fun.
Yeah, I'd say
Or White Bat.
for lower level hunting, Draco Tail Kick or Draco or White Bat are best.
Yeah.
White Bat will allow you to hide and turn invisible, being the roguey thing that we were mentioning. But it'll also give you kind of a redundant skill. It'll give you a skill called Echo Sense, which is a carbon copy of their skill that they already get, Martial Awareness, which is a carbon copy of the rogue skill Combat or Study Creature.
Yeah.
Which is a carbon copy of Combat Sense.
Yeah, carbon. Yeah, they all have different names for different classes, but they all do
All of
same
the Yeah, every one of the classes that can be considered a basher in any way, shape, or form have a way to read the elements of the monster that you're fighting. That way you can do the max damage that you need.
Question for outside of gameplay: are mounts worth purchasing from the shop, or are they easy to obtain? You can get a mount actually in game by completing the Coliseum in Medenia. You will get a turtle that you can actually use in the arena. It's the only mount you can use in the arena.
Yeah, some mounts will slightly increase your movement speed, just because of the way that the animations work. But for the most part, there are no mounts. There are different costumes and forms that you can get, like the sleigh mount, I think is one that you can get, and it just Yeah, it actually is called the sleigh mount. Another one is the Santa costume. But these, they aren't like mount in that you go into a mounted stance like in other games. They actually transform you just like a druid form would. So you can't be like mounted in druid form or mounted and hide.
I guess, sorry, did we mention for the mounts, like the insect form is one of the ways to move the fastest?
Oh yeah.
That's
There's
another prize from the insect event. Yeah.
the quarterly insect event that should be coming up in a month or so.
In a couple of weeks, yeah, end of June. Mark your calendars. There's lots of good rewards, and it's only slightly painful.
Why do you guys think Nexon does not?
Sculling when you're grouped.
Yeah, no one has asked about sculling. So when your HP hits 0, you instantly die unless you're grouped with another player. There's some funkiness in Medenian maps, but we're not going to touch on that. That's the exception, not the rule. If you're grouped with someone, then instead of instantly dying, will be facing death, and you'll drop to 1 HP, and you'll have about 20 seconds for someone to come up and use one of 3 items, or, well, 4 items. 4. The red potion, also known as Beothiach Diem, Comadium, a Blossom of Betrayal, or the Beetle Aid, also from the insect event. The Beetle
And Life
Aid
Arrow.
being... Oh yeah, and Life Arrow. That's a pure archer only spell.
Isn't there also a Glioka prayer?
You can red people through Bioshock?
I can't.
I know you can get reds.
Yeah, I know you can get reds. I'm trying to think.
That'd be hilarious. You're in combat and somebody's dying. Wait, I need to pray. Pray for my partner's survival.
Yeah, there's some prayers are weird spells. That some are useful and some not so much because of the complexity of casting a prayer.
Why do you guys think Nexon does not bring in a lot of things LOD has to offer to DA, like speed traveling, different skills, more cosmetics, etc.? It's simple, because Nexon doesn't run DA. Kru does.
Kru, Kru.
Yeah, and also I would say, like, officially, we can't really speculate. Like, we can't give you an honest answer. None of us are employees, So
Mhm.
we can only speculate as to why Kru does the things that it does.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really helpful to anyone, just to speculate here.
Agreed.
Is there a guide for someone just starting out? Like, where do I go after getting my class? For now, I would feel comfortable pointing you in the direction of Vorloff's video. As shaded as he sounds in that video, it does kind of give you a decent footing starting off. But we do have another video in the works that is going to go in much more detail um, over common installation issues, uh, what to do just starting out, pretty much anything a new player would need to know.
I see Orange here. I see Ailred already answered one of the questions here, so I'm going to go over that one about changing your class. But I am a wizard, and I was told I have to pick 2 elements only. What are the pros and cons of different elements? Is it like Elden Ring, Soulsborne, where you get a different build?
So, okay, I'm going to push back on this just a little bit because the 2 elements only thing probably comes from the private server Aura. That's all I'm going to say about that. Or hopefully it comes from more old knowledge where you could really only squeeze 2 Ard elemental spells.
Buy 2 before master. Usually, that's
Yeah.
stat wise. You can really only focus on 2 elements before you master. If you try to pick up more, you probably won't have enough stats to get the other mastery spells that you need.
I've gone through very thoroughly and made stat plans that involve the Lumen Amulet that allow you to get all 4 of the elements, Ard spells, and I've even squeezed it so far that you have to do it with 3 adorations of damage. So you have to make your character for 3 years or subpathing. But you can get all 4 of the Gar spells as well. So you there are ways to get every single spell.
How much time?
Are all of them useful? Yeah. And the payoff for it is not entirely all there. If you do want all 4 elements as a wizard before you subpath, that is completely possible. You're just not going to get the green nuke versions of all 4, but you will get the strongest single target version of each element.
I think that kind of leads into Sway 10,000 right above it, where you asked, you can change your class after picking one. We've kind of touched on it just so briefly. Yes, you can have your starting class, and then once you hit 99, you can decide to master that class or to dedicate yourself to a new class. And therefore, you can have skills and spells from previous.
Yeah, and even at once you master, you get different gear at your Grandmaster if you are a subpath or a pure class.
Okay, they said they don't mean subbing. Yeah, no, you cannot change your class once you've chosen your class. You would just need to make a new character.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, like, if you make a wizard and don't like wizard, and you could subpath it so that you're not really a wizard, you're more something else, but that's about as much as that character can do to not be a wizard.
Yeah, some decisions are temporary, like joining a religion or a temple. You can join it and then leave it. Same with politics. But there are certain things in the game, like classes and stats are a big one where you can't really. There's no like undo button. If you screw up, you kind of just have to live with it, unfortunately.
Belcine, is there a way to monitor group members' HP and status effects besides the icons over their heads? Asking as a priest. Unfortunately, no. The best way to do it that I've found is to not cast all of your buffs on someone at the same time. Just like don't buff one person, then buff the next person. Do it the other way around. Do it per buff. So like do ite on every person with yourself being the last. That way you know when it runs out on yourself, you need to recast it on everybody.
cast one buff on everybody. Always cast on yourself last and use your own buff as the timer. That's the best way.
Yeah, and as for like other spells that they might have if they're cursed or they have poison or they have low health, a lot of what we rely on is just open communication. So they might just say like H if they need to be healed is a common one, or they might just fully type out heal, or ask for their poison to be cured, things like that. So just I'd say just make sure you communicate.
Yeah.
If people ask for AO, that means they need you to remove a curse or remove a status effect. I do see here by Torin. What do you mean by college classes? So if you go to the map, once you leave Millith, go to Private and leave Private, you will see Millith College. And there are buildings there, like a college there, where players teach classes. And the way to become a teacher is by winning a college contest. So you have to attend classes, earn education marks, and things like that. So yeah, you will see announcements in the F chat, like the global chat. If you go to F and hit Shift F, it'll bring up the orange text. You can actually scroll back and see like who picked up stuff, what the day and time is, and previous shouts and things. But it will show up there if someone is teaching a class. Same with giving a mass.
I guess in terms of classes, there's what 4 or 5 different main like categories or topics of class. There's let's see, art, literature, lore, philosophy,
History.
History.
There's also persona, but that's I don't know. That's kind of a honorary.
Who wants to write an autobiography about themselves? Like,
there's also memory, but it doesn't give you anything. Yay!
Twee 10,000 asked, but is subbing not more like multi-classing? I'm gonna say no for a very specific reason. And I'm gonna go with my experience using D&D 5th edition because that's the one that I've played the most. So in 5th edition, when you multi-class into another class, you just need the prerequisites of both classes. But you can take the levels in the classes no matter what. Even if you were only limited to 2 classes in 5th edition, then you could still go like 3 levels in Bard, and then 3 levels in Rogue, and then another 3 levels in Bard, or so on and so forth. In fact, most people do that in chunks of 4 levels to max their stat gain. But in Dark Ages, you can't do that. You have to do all of your levels as your first class if you want a subpath, and then do all of your levels as the next path.
Also, because
the way that I like
use all the skills and abilities necessarily of your previous class once you become your new class. That's why I would definitely say it's not like multi-classing, because it's not like D&D where sure I'm a warrior, then I become a wizard, but I could still use my sword and sling spells with my free hand. No, like you can no longer wield that warrior sword. You can only wield the staff and sling spells.
Yeah, the way that I like to describe it is more like, for instance, if you had a priest warrior, you're not both classes. You're a warrior with priest spells.
That's the best way to describe it, yes.
Orange here has asked, okay, what elements have the best grip?
Water.
It's fire.
Water.
It's undebatably fire. There's just no contest. Everybody knows fire is lit. It's the hottest element. Discussion done.
So I am biased towards water outside of Dark Ages, but I do actually want to legitimately say that water is probably the best element to go with, solely because every one of the elements has the requirement pretty much the same, but they each have a different stat that's associated with them. Fire is strength, so that'll give you more carry weight if you want to invest in fire. Athar, wind, is dexterity. Not really going to be helpful for you. Earth, creag, is con, which is HP. Pretty nice, lets you survive a little longer. But most wizards want as much mana as possible. And Sal, water, gives you wisdom, which in turn gives you more mana as you level up.
When I trained to be a wizard, that I was told to go Sal by Bio. So
Yes.
Yep.
The ancient wisdom
Ancient wisdom
says
is water.
Just to counter that, end game completely dominated by fire.
Yeah.
If you learn the torch summons when you're a summoner, the late end game areas absolutely you need fire. I don't think anywhere you need water for end game. Is that correct, Iglis? Can you confirm?
I mean, to be fair, the question was which one has the most drip, and that definitely sounds like water.
Dang
True. Dunk. Swish.
You can have dripping fire, can't you?
Because it depends on what's on fire.
Yeah.
Hot drip.
I think we're getting off topic though.
I'm looking.
Yeah. In summary, fire.
I will. I do want to expand just a little bit more on it. If you're going to be a pure wizard, then invest in Sal, and then worry about getting your torch spells as a summoner. That's where you're going to be getting most of your damage from with fire, not the Ard Strad. Your Ard spells, they're going to be all right, but they're not really going to be doing much once you go to your Medenia path. I think as a wizard priest, I used, before I got Deception of Life, I think I only ever used Ard Athar and Ard Sal, and that was to kill Blazes to enter Horon and kill Grimes for the daily quest in Lost Ruin at very low ability levels.
Ambient, we have a nice, maybe returning player question. When I played, there was a certain quest you needed notes for and a random chance to trigger it, and it was extremely luck-based and kind of terrible. Is that still the same system, or has it gotten easier? Do those items not matter as much now? Only if you're a wizard. You're talking about the Dark Notes.
Dark Artifact.
Yeah, the Dark Artifact quest.
Look at that quest.
If you're a wizard, yes, you still want to do that quest.
It is better now. They increased the amount of tiles that the pop-up can spawn on, so it's a lot easier to find it. It's definitely not as terrible as it used to be.
Yeah. It sure would have been nice for that change to happen when I was looking for my original Obsidian pop-up years ago.
Yeah, how long?
3 years.
3 years. Yep, that's Iglis's biggest gripe with that quest.
Thankfully, they changed it, and it's much easier to find your Dark Artifact pop-up on any class now, so if you want it, you can go get it, but Wizards are the only one that actually need it, like Viveena said.
Yeah, I think you can get them within like 30 minutes, I think, nowadays. It's quite easy. They all look super cool, though, and the quest itself is super fun, so I recommend still trying it out.
Chris's has a question here. Is the roleplay in-game communication strictly enforced, especially with this new influx of players, myself included? There's a town, Suomi. It is a role-playing town. When you enter the town, you will receive a pop-up explaining that it is a role-play town. That is the only area and at troop events that it is strictly enforced. Now, temples, with the new influx of players, most of the temples were mostly empty and dead. There's a few people that would give masses. Maybe you'd have 5 to 10 attending. And I would say that there's a potential change in that if players are going to try to come in and try to enforce like certain standards and things. But for the most part, no. Just in Suomi is it strictly enforced.
Yeah, basically what she said, it's not really enforced except in Suomi unless you guys make it that way. So
Bro said that someone answered the gem polishing thing in chat and said that as long as a regged player labors you, you can in fact gem polish. I thought that's what the case was, but I didn't know if they changed it or not, because I know to gem polish through the NPC and Piet Bank. Fun fact, did you know you could do that? You do have to be regged, but in order to cast gem polishing, I didn't think that you did have to.
Oh, interesting. So you can
wow.
Even though you're not registered. Now we all just learned something new. Thank you for that.
And then Orange has another question. Based on stats, does that mean Earth Wizards have more HP since Earth spells need con? Yes and no. Depends on when you get your con and when you start learning your Earth spell. If you do it early, yeah, you're going to have a lot more HP than most wizards. If you do it about halfway through, you'll have more HP than some wizards. If you do it as the last minute thing, you're probably about going to have the same HP as most.
My recommendation.
Because the reason for this is because when you level up, the amount of HP and MP that you gain is based on how much con and whiz you have respectively. So the more base HP and more constitution you have is the more, or how much HP you'll gain per level. And then the same thing is true for mana and wisdom. The more base mana and wisdom you have when you level up, the more you'll gain on that level up.
Yeah, to add to that, I recommend, this is something that I do. I put my first stats into Constitution and Wisdom. More Wisdom if I'm playing a caster than Constitution to start. If you can hold off on learning the skills, it will make mastering much easier because you'll be sure to have the mana requirement and the health requirement.
And then the flip side can be true for Bashers to do Con instead of Wisdom. And honestly, in the case of Warriors, you don't even need Wisdom.
Yeah.
I want to touch back on the fishing thing. Belsine just said that Purple Whopper just became my life's mission.
Excellent.
Wonderful. I see Rick Dennis has asked, how hard is it to find people to group hunt XPAB old school non-botting? Probably much easier now.
Yeah, super tough a week ago. Super easy going forward with all these new players.
I know that one person specifically who plays in Singapore, Nagisa-chan, she like avidly plays without bots, and then another one, Alay and Jessica P, those two being the same person. You can find her as Luminous Butt Bucket here in the Dark Ages Unofficial. She also vehemently is 100% against bots. So there are some people who do 100% play botless, but it's kind of hard to find who do that nowadays. You'll struggle to find someone who doesn't even have bots downloaded for the convenience aspects.
Yeah, just walking places. People hate walking.
I'm trying to think of any other botless players that I can think of. That would be shout out. I know Aeon's. I believe Dueling, if I'm not mistaken, is also Naja.
And we have hundreds of new players not using bots, which is super exciting.
Yeah. These are just people who are like vocally against, like they don't bot. You know, there could be other.
There are some people that won't even hunt with people who bot. So.
Yeah. The long story short, there is still some stigma, but it's gotten a lot more widely accepted just because of the dying population.
Kjoy asks, is there a cheap way to get potions? You can buy some potions in Black Star. If you go to the back, it's kind of like the top left. That's called North. But you can buy the red potions there. They're called commodiums. I know you can buy the I can't say this right. The hemlocks, which bring you to 1 HP.
And Divinomums.
There you go. Yeah.
Poison
healing potions. You can buy those.
I have X-Current in there too, I believe now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Healing potions.
Yeah, I personally think the game is really lacking some potions for low-level players. Just like
the
simple health and mana potions.
Why don't the wizards sell potions?
Yeah, just to heal like 500 or 1,000 health, something like that for low-level players would be pretty useful.
I actually have the solution to this. I'm going to make this a public PSA to all current players. If you have blue tonics and red tonics, give them to new players. Not the high tonics and X tonics. They don't need that. They just need the regular base tonics because those heal red for 1,000 health and blue for 1,000 mana when you.
Yeah, I've been doing some blue and red tonic drops into Dar, the Dark Wizard of Millith's house. So
And you can hold 100 of them each.
yeah, they really need to like make those purchasable in Millith. That would be a huge quality of life improvement.
Yeah, I understand green not being purchasable because they're skill requirements, but like red and blue could be. Someone asked if Suomi is a town because someone said Suomi enforces role playing. Yes, Suomi is one of the major towns of the game.
It's the furthest town. You have to take a long walk, or you can actually take like a short hop through Able over to Undyne. If a lot of people aren't aware, you can take the Able docks, not just the Lures docks.
Did we miss Sui 10,000's question? Is there a difference between War Rogue and Rogue War? That's kind of the...
Yeah.
Oh.
Ailred did mention this briefly, but I want to emphasize what he said. The biggest like difference between them. A War Rogue is a rogue with warrior skills, and a Rogue Warrior is a warrior with rogue skill. This ultimately, like when we were describing how the classes hunt, that's what you want to take into account. So like a warrior rogue will hunt like an archer, whereas a rogue warrior will hunt like a gladiator or a warrior.
Just like I'm a warrior wizard, but I never hunt like a warrior. I always hunt like a wizard.
Orange asked how many characters can you have on one account? You can have up to 5 characters on one account. 5. You can remove them and add some back. And it takes, I think, like 2 weeks of downtime to be able to do that again. So if you are making Hubai monks, when you're talking about this to learn your skills, from one account code, you make your 5. You get them up to the level they need to be to teach them the first 2 Dugons, first 2 levels of the monk training classes, and then you delete those, add a new 5, do the same thing, and then on the last day, you can time it well, you can do it one more time. So you can potentially get 10 to 15 Huai, and they've really lowered the amount that is needed to get to the black Dugon, so it's like the black belt for the monks.
Also, just keep in mind any character you delete off an account is permanently deleted. It does warn you, but yeah, you can't like move it to a different account that way. Once you delete it, it's gone forever.
Yes, once it's
the only way. The only way to transfer a character to a different account is to have your name on both accounts, own both accounts, and ticket Kru, and they'll likely charge you $30 to do it for one character.
Yeah.
Yay, capitalism.
Is there a shortcut way to leave a dungeon? Is there a shortcut way to leave a dungeon and return to the inn or something like Hearthstone? We touched on this with the ways to teleport around town earlier. Pretty much any of the major town songs or Dockade, if you're a wizard priest. Something we also forgot is that if you do one of the end game dungeons enough, you'll get Dockade for any class called Rift.
We did touch on the Black Star earlier.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't.
But we just briefly mentioned that everyone got one.
Yeah.
Eventually from Black Star.
Sorry, how do you pronounce it again, Iglis?
200 times.
Dockade?
Dockade? Yeah.
Dockade. Oh. Never mind, I'm not going to say how I pronounce mine.
I always said Dockade.
I always say Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch.
Yeah. Are there any items in the item shop that are recommended to help or are required throughout your time in the game? I'm going to be honest. Not really. There are some that can help, but you don't need anything in the shop. if you want to spend all of your starting Kruna and whatever Kruna you purchase on nothing but cosmetics, there's plenty of people who do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Me being one of them. I don't buy experience bonus or anything in a shop unless like they're running a double experience weekend or something.
There's usually events that are posted at one of the arenas by the GMs where you can go and you'll get a bunch of chests. And from those chests and things, you'll get XP items. And sometimes experience gems and things like that. So there's a lot of ways in game with the events and the community events that will reward you with Kruna items. And
I guess one Kruna item that I do want to highlight is the warranty bag. It's kind of some people like it, some people don't. But
Yeah.
it's not super important early game, but once you get kind of late game and have super powerful and expensive gear, there's a chance that your gear will, I guess not a chance, certain gear will drop or break when you die. And if you want to be super safe, you can get these warranty bags from the Kruna Shop that guarantees you do not lose any of your items, but the warranty bag itself gets consumed. I think it's what, like 90 Kruna, 100 Kruna, something like that. So it's fairly cheap to kind of safeguard your gear once you feel scared about losing it.
You can use it's a skill for your different classes. You might have to have some classes identify certain items, because if you don't have, they identify all items. But there's lores and skills to identify items, and it will tell you if it will break on death. What's the term?
Yeah, perish. I think it's perish.
Yeah,
but
perishing.
I've been told it can lie to you about certain items. I'm not sure which ones it lies about.
Yeah, some items it'll say like perish on or perishable on death or something, and say yes, but instead it like goes to your inventory or something. Some of them are. This one isn't like very new player help friendly, but I do think it is interesting to point out. Someone asked what Deoch it is because they started in Deoch 8. It is currently Deoch 212.
Yeah.
It's the timekeeping system, and it's about 8 times faster than real life. And Deoch is the equivalent of a year. So you have 8 Deochs every year. So being at 212, you can do math to see when it started too. So
Snowpin asked about the second and third accessory slots. These are Kruna items that you can buy. They just allow you to have more accessories that you can wear. And I will key you in, accessory lovers. The order that you put them in those slots will have the sprites layer over each other in different ways. So you can get a lot of unique and interesting effects by layering the accessory items differently.
There's actually a tool that you can use. I'll link it here in the chat right now. That you can use to play around with all the different cosmetics in the game and how your character will look.
Did we skip over the door question?
We might have. Go ahead.
I think Sil had asked, sometimes the shop door is closed and I cannot enter. How can I open the door? That is a super common and frustrating problem. I get stuck by it too. You basically just have to click the door. I forget if it's single click, might be double click, but some doors have kind of a different hitbox of where you need to click. So sometimes you just need to spam click above it all over the place until it opens.
I think
typically
Evan's door is the most notorious door in Millith for opening like that. It's like
I would actually
right corner.
I would actually say, or at least maybe it's the one that I've experienced the most. Recession Rogue and the Recession Armor are
Recession Rogue when you're doing the letter quest, the love letter quest, so terrible.
The best advice I can give you for the doors is to try to click near the top of.
And the door state is kind of the same for everybody, right? So if you want to troll somebody, you can close the door when they're walking up to it, I think.
Yeah.
That's always fun. I mean, don't do it.
Occasionally, though, the doors will be open or closed, but they'll show the other round. Just hit F5. Sure, the door is actually what it looks like.
What's the best? Sorry, I see here Orange is asking, so I'm going to learn my first spells. What core stats are most important for a wizard? I'm guessing int for spell power and con for hit points. It's actually wisdom for your mana.
Mm-hmm.
When you master wizard, their highest stat point, which would be like their main stat, is intelligence, because that's spell damage. But wisdom will help you a lot or more early on.
Yeah, I would say wisdom early on, and then definitely having the max int later will help. But I was thinking for starting, like wisdom is a little bit more important to make sure that you're getting your enough mana to cast enough spells.
For sure. Doesn't matter how strong your art strat is if you can't cast it.
Yeah. Delete the believer asked, you can ascend your stats too, right? Not just your HP MP?
Yes.
Sorta, yeah.
Each class has a set amount of stats that they can put into each different stat. Typically, every class will have 2 stats that cap out at 100, 1 stat that caps out at 150, 1 stat that caps out at 180, 1 stat that caps out at 215.
I just want to clarify. What you do is you ascend your HP, and then you can use your HP to buy stats. Now, if you make a mistake and go over one of your stats, it will lock you out from buying stats. Do not fear. You can move as long as the stat is over 100, which it has to be to lock you out. If you accidentally bought one of your 100 stats to 101, you can move 5 stat points from one stat to another. And that way you can fix it if you accidentally locked your stats from overbuying, and then go back to raising it to the correct number.
Someone asked, or Flock asked, when I was looking in the game files, I saw a Facemaker. I opened it and it looks like a pixel editor. Can we really use this? If so, this question was answered by Fever, but you can use it to either draw your own profile pictures or use it to import other pictures. I would recommend get resolution of a Dark Ages profile portrait before trying to use the Facemaker, and then importing the image after that, and then save the image in your Dark Ages direct. So for whatever character you're trying to. So for me, it would be Dark Ages /Iglis/Iglis would be the name of the file. It wouldn't be like iglis.jpg. It would be Kru/Dark Ages/Iglis/Iglis. That would be the file name.
I also just want to shout out that there are some pixel artists in the community that can help you design a super cool profile picture. Some of them offer their services that you can buy them from. I want to shout out Melon. Melon designed my profile picture, and I really love it. So,
Designed my Discord profile picture here, the one with me holding a pumpkin.
Sil did ask a question here. Here's a question. Knowing what you know now, would you recommend a big time investment into the game to someone who is new? I think that's really a hard question to answer. That it is all dependent on how much you enjoy the game, is how much you should invest into it.
I would just say don't worry about investing too much to it. Just kind of play as long as it is fun, and if it stops being fun, put it down for a couple of days, and if it still isn't fun after a couple of days, maybe you're just done. So many people quit this game and then come back years. There's no shame take a break, even if it's your
Yeah.
characters most of the time should still be to get back as long as you're not taking like a 20-year break.
A long time.
Over a decade,
Since
yeah, since
2012.
2012. Yeah, I just want to highlight that the game itself is pretty fun and interesting, but the main draw for me is the community. The community, I think, is super welcoming, super awesome. I took a long break from the game. I played from 2005 to 2010. Took a long break for real life priorities, and then I just returned last year in 2024. And it honestly, like from the video, it felt like home. It felt like coming back home and just being welcomed into the community and having fun with friends. So if you enjoy the community in your time playing the game, then I definitely think it's worth the investment long term. But if you don't care about the community as much, it's kind of how much you enjoy the game itself.
Kjoy asks, as a solo monk, is it important to learn the spell? Yes, it's important to learn anything that you can as your class. Some things you'll end up deleting later because you get more powerful versions and no longer the previous versions. Sometimes you will keep the previous versions because there are new uses, but for the most part, try to learn everything you can.
Also, be sure that for priests specifically, some of the spells that you have to learn around like poison, sleep, and blind require you to have 2 of certain spells at a certain level. So while you may have progressed further in your sleep spell, you still may need your starter sleep spell for your poison or blind spells. So don't just delete those just yet until you're sure that you do not need that spell for any other spell. I do see a lot of questions here about like how to get around places. Iglis, could you put your map in the chat and just kind of explain it a little bit real quick?
Oh, heck
We've
yeah.
already been doing this for about almost 2 hours here in about 15 minutes. And I know
time has just flown by.
I know.
Yeah.
We still have 550. So while you're kind of explaining the map, Dylan and Ailred, if we can just look for a couple good questions to answer here in the last little bit, we can do another one of these quick Q&As. But I think 2 hours is a pretty good time to have run this so far.
Cut off time. Yeah. Okay. 14 minutes left.
That is the version of the map with all of the connections on it and everything. Or without all of the connections, it just has all of the areas. So let me pull it up before I start talking so I don't make any mistakes. There we go. Okay. So starting from Mylith, because that's the starting town. When you leave Mylith, you're able to go to the following places: Able, West Woodlands, East Woodlands, Casmania Mines, and Pravat Cave. This will put you on the left side of Pravat Cave if you go there, and the top of Able. You can also go to Mylith College from here, but Mylith College and Blackstar Village have very weird rules about where you can go to and from with them, so I'm going to leave them out for just the sake of not confusing the shit out of people. If you go to Pravat Cave and then go to the other side, to the right, you will then be able to go to Piet, the Coliseum Arena, which is the P area, Lore's Castle, Lore's Harbor, Grassfield, and Mahati Swamp. Then, if you go to Lore's, you're able to go to Session, Lineth Beach, Tagore, House Macabre, Shinewood Forest, and Bale Nakari. If you go to Session, you can go to Able, Lineth Beach, Carlopos Island, Orin Island, and Lore's, and I believe Lore's Harbor as well. Something else to note is that Lineth Beach can also take to Session. I think also Able. I could be wrong on that one. But also is another way to get to Carlopos and Orin Island. If you go to Able from any of these locations, not from Mylith, you will end up on the port side of Abel on the opposite side of town. And if you go through that side of town, then you can end up at Undyne. And if you trek all the way through Undyne and get to the other side, then you can go to Undyne Field, Sapphire Stream, Astrid, Mount Girrigan, and Suomi.
I will note when we're talking about traveling through these maps, a lot of times you're going to walk into a map and then turn around and walk right back out the portal to get to the next selection of locations.
Yeah. How do I cast spells? Just got Big Sal.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I wanted to ask about. I saw is there cooldown on spell
Orange did
casting?
figure it out. Yeah, Orange figured out the issue was the spell lines. So I don't know if we want to touch on that for other people as well.
Just real quick,
Yeah.
spells and skills. If you right click on them, it'll show you a line. That's how much time it takes to cast that skill or spell. You can put text in there to help you count in wands and staves can affect the line numbers. It may change depending on what you have equipped.
I do want to point out that all skills are instant. It's only spells that are affected by like time. Skills do have skill lines, but they're not affected by like when you press the button, they happen.
Yeah,
barring the lag.
I'm sure the lectures are long, right? Those are skills.
Are they skills? I thought they were
They're
spells.
spells.
Okay.
Yeah, there's spells.
Okay.
Yeah, spells. There's like a cooldown before you cast it. Skills. There's a cooldown after you use it. Is kind of one distinction.
Yeah. We're gonna buy level 14 rogue clothes. Does anyone know? Well, it would help if you asked a gender, but the level 11 rogue armor can be found. First of all, any class can find pretty much any of their armors except their 99 armors in Orin. There's 4 different vendors that will have an armor for just starting out as a class, level 11, level 41, and level 71. Warriors are weird, and we'll go over that in just a second. But if you don't want the Orin look, then the Dwarvish leather for males can be found at the Piet Bank, and the I forget what it's called for female. Pebble Rose, I think. I think that might be the 41. I don't know, but the Brigandine. That sounds right, Brigandine. I think that can be found at the Abel armor, if I'm not mistaken.
Ailred or Dylanlan, did you guys find a question you wanted to pick out specifically?
There was a big discussion about botting in the game, which is definitely a controversial topic. It is against the terms of service to use, I think it's like any third-party program, which
correct. Any third-party program is against the terms of services. So that includes Dami, Dawn, AO Disenchanter, or any kind of walker, or any other kinds of bots that are programs that people use to edit the game files or change the way the game is run.
There are some that are
obviously like, but many people run a lot of the multiple instance ones like Dawn and Dami, and a lot of those like that rangers aren't going to make a big deal out of. The biggest thing you have to worry about is if you're using a program which we refer to as a bot that plays your character for you, and can also use like various hacks to change how you interact with the game as casting and moving faster. These are things that can get you jailed. For the most part, if you're just hunting normally and you're not being offensive or hogging areas, you're probably not going to have any trouble.
I do want to say that with the exception of bots, there are various levels of acceptability with programs. like Viveena mentioned, Dondi and or Dond, however you want to pronounce it, Da Windower and Yami, those are, widely accepted by everyone. Sleep Hunter is also widely accepted by most people. Just don't use it while you're AFK and that's really all people care about with that one. Stuff to walk you from one location to another, that's typically fine too, as long as you're not doing it to make your character move faster than they should with the resources that they have. It's really the main thing that it comes down to is just the hacks and hunting automatically with no user input. I don't know how any of us would have mastered a single character without the use of Sleep Hunt, for example.
Yeah, Sleep Hunter is kind of required for this game. It's
You could use
yeah,
like
a lot of
auto
skills.
hotkey, macro express if you're talented and set up your own macros.
Razor Synapse,
Yeah, because
if you use a Razor device.
mouse clicks and stuff like that, so you can do targeting and things. But the
Yeah.
Sleep Hunter program, and also
Sleep Hunter just works with Dark Ages, and you don't require it doesn't have much setup. You just kind of download it, set the path, go.
And if you're registered, please use the Dojo. You cannot. It is technically, if you read the chat, you are teleported to a far, far away place where you can train your skills in peace without being interrupted. Really, the only way that you would be get into any kind of trouble with a ranger there is if you were harassing or causing disruptions, or there are ways to sort of trigger the monsters to where you can fill the whole room with copies of the monsters. That's kind of disruptive. So things like that can get you in trouble in the dojo, but just training your skills, AFK or not, is just fine.
Yeah, and the added benefit is you get a skill and spell improvement bonus just by being in the dojo. So even if you are going to be there the whole time, you still get a benefit by going in there.
Dylanlan, did you see a question? I can't remember who picked the bot questions. That was Ailred or
I brought up the bot one. Let's.
Yeah, that was his.
Did we
I
feel like we covered
most of the ones that I saw.
Did we cover bots pretty thoroughly? Do we kind of, because someone was asking specifically what bots were, and someone said to differentiate that bots that are for quality of life versus actual bot. Do we think we covered that pretty thoroughly?
I guess, did we mention that like PvE versus PvP is also a huge distinction with bots? They're kind of
gonna go
more.
I'm
they're
gonna
generally accepted PvE, but PvP is a big no-no, and there's often problems there, and it's a cause of a lot of drama. So just don't do it in PvP.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say if you go into a PvP area, run a vanilla client if you can. Dondi is vanilla enough. And the only program you should have to interact with Dark Ages is a combo program if you're a basher, like Macro Express or Razor Synapse or something, and maybe datool.exe, which is a program that I've linked somewhere in the Discord at this point, which will basically allow you to unrestrict your keyboard. It's something you can do with your keyboard settings, but it makes it to where you don't have to do it to your keyboard. It only applies to your Dark Age window. And what that does is like make it to where you turn and move with one press rather than having double tap.
Yeah, you can set that up like same thing with like the Razor, or like I have a keyboard that can set up macros. You can set it up to where when you press like your arrow keys, it does a double arrow key, so that way you will still and turn at the same time.
It's just DAtool does it. Yeah, I do too. Even when I have that turned on, it's just it's habit.
I did see an interesting question about, can I restore a 20-year-old character? The answer is maybe.
Check it,
Kru,
Kru, and ask.
they have the capabilities of restoring purged characters from years and decades ago. The question is whether they will reply to your support ticket. They usually require a code. I'm not sure if it's a $10 or $30 code.
It's a $30 code. You don't want to start yet, and I think it might also be a $10 code on top of it to put it onto an account.
Yeah, so the answer is it's possible. It's just up in the air whether Kru will do it for you. I'm optimistic that now that they're actually kind of replying to the community recently, that they'll a much higher chance of doing it this month compared to last month, I'd say. I guess we're almost at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I guess I would just add here to the running client on Linux under Wine. I don't think they would have an issue with that because that's the only way for you to be able to run it on Linux, right?
Yeah, running it through Windows emulation program like Wine or something like that. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The only real thing when it comes to running Dark Ages outside of vanilla client you need to worry about is, does this play the game for me? If the answer is yes, then don't use it. The only exceptions to that are, like we said, macro programs, sole intention of comboing an arena or improving your skills and spells. So there's some other things, but those can get more of a gray area. So just, if you're in doubt, just stick to that rule of thumb.
Okay, I think this is a good thing for the last question of the day. Kjoy asked, "Is there a leveling up guide for single player?" This game was not really designed for a single player. This game was designed for you to
Go out and make friends.
Form a group. There are quests that require you to have one of each class. There are some quests that require you to have at least 2 people, at least 3 people. So there is a lot of push for community. This game is built on community, is influenced by the community, and upheld by the community. And so a lot of the content is going to push you towards playing with others. And that actually is a big proponent, I think, as to why botting became more prolific as the population dwindled, because you do have to hunt with other people. You can't hunt by yourself. I don't know if you all have anything else to add to that last thought. I think it's a good closing thought.
I think that was perfect. I was actually going to mention that the fact that solo hunting is not really a thing in this game is why bots have become so relied on. So I thought that was a good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Group hunting is ideal.
I'm still going through. I just caught up to a point that I was, and messages are still flooding in.
Yeah, so many messages.
Yeah,
I think
we can maybe introduce ourselves, tell us some names about where they can find us in game usually, and that could be a good way to exit out of here, since we kind of jumped into it. We didn't do an intro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point.
We could do an outro here real quick.
I think we could actually go a little bit longer, but I think we should make it a hard stop here. Please, no more questions after this point. I'm going to send a message in the chat, even to any questions after this point won't be answered. If y'all are okay with that, I don't want to take up y'all's time.
Oh no, I'm fine with that, and also
I'm good to
I'm
stick
good
on.
to hang on, but I think just for saying recording officially.
Yeah.
You know, 2 hours is.
Yeah, we do need to. Yeah, we do need to be wrapping it up, and
yes, Ninja Boot. We're planning on doing more Q&As and also putting out some video tutorials. we're working on that. I mean, we're adults, so we have real lives too. But that is something that we're working on together to put as much information as possible that you may need, and put that in some easily digestible video format.
Yeah, we didn't anticipate any new players, so we don't really have new player guides, and then on top of that, there's just a lot of new players, so we're working on it.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and
what is the dojo and how do I get there? Yeah, I saw that one, and that one kind of jumped out at me before we do the intro. The training dojo is in Mahati Swamp. You can talk to the NPC Neomope, and he will be able to teleport you there if you are registered. If you're unregistered, you unfortunately can't. So, yeah. Now, if we want to introduce ourselves.
I'm Viveena. I am one of the active rangers currently. I am a priestess of Deoch, but I also kind of run a Massapalooza. I don't have all of the faiths yet. I'm working on it. But that's something that you'll see me doing frequently is holding masses or any list on my political characters, keeping the peace. If you get stuck somewhere, like stuck, if I am on Please Whisper Me, I do have the ability to send people home. That's also one of my other ranger abilities. So I can kind of help in those kind of instances if you find yourself in a difficult position.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Iglis. You can also find me under various character names, mostly Tempest, Reawaken, and Redundancy. You may have also heard of the name K-Fang or Finally Awake or Always Asleep. That's me, if you remember those names. Typically, you can find me just chilling in PC or Black Star Bank or just anywhere if I'm not out hunting. And I may not respond to whispers all the time, just because I don't see them. But if I'm not responding to whispers, just feel free to DM me on Discord and with whatever you needed, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see.
I can go next. I'm Dylanlan. I consider myself a pure wizard by day, pure rogue by night. You can reach me on Discord at Dylanlan2 or Dylanlan in game, or Nalid is also my other main character. It's just Dylan backwards. That's my pure wizard. Always happy to help new players. I do have a bunch of YouTube videos showing random events and quests over the past couple of years, and a dinky website that I will link in the chat if anybody is curious.
I am Ailred. I have too many characters to list anything important other than Ailred. I'm a master host in the arena, and also a knight. So if you need to sponsor or if you're looking to become an arena host, you can reach out to me. I'm definitely more reachable on Discord most often. I go AFK a lot, but you can always try and reach me in game. Otherwise, Discord is ideal. Yeah.
I'll just add on. I forgot. I'm also a knight. So if you need political sponsorship, you can whisper me for that, and I can assist with that as well.
Oh yeah, I guess I should also. I do have a character that is a priest in every religion, but my main religion that I focus on is Iglis's religion, which is Luithaz. So if you need any assistance being primarily with Luithaz stuff, but with any religion, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, I forgot to mention too, I'm a Deoch worshipper. I'm going to be trying to host Deoch masses in the near term, as well as a Medenia fire spirit worshipper. The Medenia religions are kind of neglected, but I'm trying to revive the fire spirit to eventually get that cool fire blaze pet.
Now I want to add on more too. I'm not really like the best at anything, but I try and be a jack of all trades. So if you need something, I can usually try and help, even if I'm not the best. But Yeah.
Ailred also
Like
didn't
well
mention.
trained.
He didn't mention, but he's on the arena host team as well. So if you have any issues with that, oh, did he? I didn't hear that. I just heard him mention that he was a knight.
He said knight and
Yeah, no, I mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I needed headphones. These are going out. The mic is going out.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you do seem like you're still cutting in and out a lot, so you might want to check your hardware.
Yeah, no, I figured it out. The cable's going bunk, so I get paid Friday. So
as for your characters, my most common ones are going to be, of course, Ranger Viveena, my Wolfang Fist Dueler Camille, and then my rogue Gillibri, and then of course I've got like 8 priests, so I'm not going to go through their names. But if you need god items, hit me up.
Also, a quick plug: Iglis.shop. If you get to the end game and need any items, I have not been farming very much recently, but with this influx of new players here in about a couple days to a week, if I'm going to try to get the motivation to farm some stuff up for people to buy if they need it. I'll try to cut a bunch of my prices down a bunch, even though some people might get mad at me for being, oh, why are you selling so low? You're cutting in my price. I don't care. I'm helping new players. These prices are ridiculous, man, for some of these items.
Inflation.
Ain't no reason that Thunder Fury needs to be a gold bar.
No, what? Is it really?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, gross. Okay. Yeah, prices. Hopefully, there's going to be a big market shift. Definitely needs to. It's been overinflated for sure. So we are so happy to have you guys all here. Like, really, I think a lot of us are really excited. We're excited because it's bringing back old players. We're excited because new people are finding this game that we love and cherish, and has been a part of our childhood and lives. Like, and it's great to be able to share this experience with you guys.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
just I didn't expect this, honestly, but shout outs to Bindo, man. I can't say that enough. He just it could have been any game, and we got lucky. I do see here, it has been answered already, but Orange asked, why does it say my will is too weak when I cast spells? That's because you don't have enough mana to cast the spell you're trying to cast. Ooh, and then Fever brought up something very, very nice. For low-level wizards, you can get Lysiach spells and a Nadura necklace and turn Fiors into in tight situations.
Yeah, and you'll often see those just thrown on the ground because people hate having them in their inventory because they take up a slot, and we have very limited inventory slots. So as a wizard, grab those 4s. They can help you cast spells.
All right, and it looks like I just reached the end of where I said, please, no more questions after this point.
I think Ailred said he wants to ask 100 more questions.
No.
Yeah, I got that in
before-
first, so.
We can ask 100 more questions in general if you want. But I'm looking right now for the way to... man, I can leave the stage. I don't want to leave the stage. See, I've not used this before. I'm looking for where the end button is. Editor was like, you'll be able to find it.
Okay. Belsine actually pointed something out that I do want to touch on that some people might not notice. Some gear can actually decrease your mana, so you might not want to wear just everything as a caster. Specifically, like early on leather items, like leather greaves, leather gauntlets.
Shields.
Yeah, shields are another big one. Most bladed weapons, like Dirk, Ep, Lore Saber.
Epe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and please, wear a belt. Wear a belt.
Yeah.
Wear a belt. Doesn't matter what element it is. Just wear a belt. Dark if
You
you
don't
can.
want your pants to fall down, so make sure you wear a belt.
Yeah, dark belt if you can. Light belt if you can't. And failing both of those, any element belt. At least something, so that you're resisting some element. Yeah. Dylan also has a giant stash of light belt. If anyone needs a light belt.
Stopping the stream. All right, I'm gonna stop recording.